Show.
The protest is coming up in 2 days on Friday. And I make a great case that this truckers' strike is being run by fools. And I've been asking the question for weeks now, what is the purpose of a 3-day strike? Because all you're going to do is piss off Americans. You're going to piss off people who work for companies who can't get things done because of the stupid strike. You're going to piss off people who work at a restaurant or a guy who owns a restaurant who can't get his produce for the weekend. And those are only 2 examples. I could go on and on. The country depends on trucks. And so the truckers want to go on strike. I guess to bother Obama or something. I guess to make Obama upset or something. It's not going to happen. It's stupid. You've got Obama making himself a huge pain in America's ass. Let him do it. Why would you get involved? Why would the truckers try to make conservatives look bad in the eyes of Americans when Obama is doing us the biggest favor ever with all of these cherry-picked closures? This is great stuff. Obama is not going to get out of this unscathed. He thinks he is, but he's not. So why would we want to get involved? Why would truckers want to get involved? At this point in time when Obama is doing our work for us. So I got into this discussion with a woman on Facebook who is a big proponent of the 3-day truckers' strike. And I want to read from that because it's illustrative of the weak thinking that's going on behind this. A lot of conservatives are all, yeah, go get Obama, roll the trucks into Washington, D.C., and we're going to get Obama. We're going to make him ticked off. Obama isn't going to care. So I wrote on Facebook, I'm still struggling to understand what the goal of this supposed 3-day truck strike is. And I said supposed because I don't know how many people are really going to show up. So a woman on Facebook that I'm not going to name is a huge proponent of the 3-day truckers' strike and the big trucker protest in Washington. I'm calling her lady person, like Jerry Lewis. We are hurting now, she said, and it's only going to get worse. It's time to take a stand. This is called the Ride for the Constitution. And I said, I don't care if it's called the Ride for the Founders or whatever. The result is it will hurt Americans, it will hurt small businesses, it's going to hurt companies, employees, and their families. So she wrote, you're entitled to your opinion, let's just agree to disagree. And I hate that. I don't like coming to a point where we say, let's agree to disagree, as if both positions are equally correct or equally incorrect. That is not the case. In my opinion, let's come to a meeting of the minds. Let's hash out the debate. So I said, you don't think trucks striking for 3 days will hurt families, hurt employees, hurt small businesses, hurt companies? Or do you think that hurting these people is the right thing to do? I do not understand this point yet. So she wrote, the alternative will be far worse than the 3 days. And I don't know what she's talking about, the alternative. We have been posting to buy all you need to get through the 3 days. Why? Because the truckers want to strike for no good freaking reason? She says, I think it's the right thing to do because the power belongs to the people, not the government. The government is enslaving us faster than the people are catching on. If we are able to wake them up with this shutdown and get active in protecting our Constitution, then it will all be worth it. Too many people are still asleep, and they need to see that they are quickly losing their right to live the way they want to. And I responded, why should I, as an American, have my life interrupted by truckers? What is their point? Is it the power belongs to the people to make life difficult for the other people? Where is the logic here? And by the way, if there is some goal that makes sense, that the truckers think that they can achieve, I could be for it. But you've got to be able to tell me, what is the goal? So I continued writing to Lady Person. I said, what are you trying to wake people up to? The fact that we are the truckers and we can cut you off? So what? Obama isn't making life miserable enough. Now the truckers want to pile on? That makes no sense. And what alternative are you talking about? What would be worse than the 3-day trucker strike? What would be worse that you're preventing from happening with a 3-day trucker strike? Are the truckers next time around going to shut down everything for a month? I'm pretty damn bright. My IQ is shockingly high, so why don't I see the positive that comes from all of this? What is the positive outcome that is the truckers' goal? And I never got much of an answer. And I mean, I've been asking people who are supporting this truckers' strike for 2 or 3 weeks now. Tell me, what is the goal? What is the outcome that these truckers are hoping for? So I started another thread on Facebook. Just a minute. Let me save my work. I wrote a post on Facebook because I saw somebody else recommend the Facebook page for this big truckers protest. And I asked, what is the benefit of a truckers strike that hurts Americans? It's going to hurt small businesses. It's going to hurt companies. It's going to hurt employees. It's going to hurt individuals. Why is this truckers strike something that conservatives think they want? And I got a response. For real revival to happen, some of our comfort may get messed up. Now, this truckers strike has nothing to do with any kind of Christian, fundamental, evangelistic crusade. As far as I know, there is no biblical tie at all. It doesn't mean that truckers aren't praying about it, but it's not an organized Christian activity. It's not a Christian protest. So I responded, who said anything about that? With Obama doing all the things he's doing and damaging himself and the Democrats, why do conservatives wish to cause the people more trouble? It makes zero sense. And who are you and who are these truckers to determine that Americans need to feel pain at the gas station, pain at the markets, pain in not getting their deliveries on time, pain at restaurants, whatever the small business is, while they're trying to run their businesses and feed their families? And you don't think that Americans are going to react negatively to trouble that truckers cause in the name of conservatism? Since when do independent truckers, by the way, have 3 days to blow off and the time and money to drive across the United States into Washington, D.C.? And since when do union truckers join a wildcat strike over this? That's never going to happen. So the guy replies, understood. I will let you talk to the Lord about this. And honestly, that is no answer. That is ridiculous. This is not about the Lord. This is about a trucker strike that this guy is endorsing. So I wrote back and I said, you are the one promoting this, so I am asking you. And he responded, my conscience is clear before the Lord about promoting this. Holy mackerel. And you know, I'm a God-fearing guy. I'm a Christian. But this truckers protest is not about that. So I wrote, good, you're clear before the Lord, so explain to me the goal the truckers are trying to reach and why it's worth risking harming the American people for that goal. Not one person extolling the supposed truckers strike has been able to answer my challenge yet. So he wrote the answer that I know is true, and I just hadn't run into yet anyone with the courage enough to actually say it. He wrote, the truckers want Obama to surrender and resign, and many congressional representatives in Washington, D.C. to follow suit. In other words, congressional representatives to surrender and resign as well. Now, he's not kidding. There are truckers who actually believe that they have the power to go into Washington, D.C. and force Obama to resign. Ah, boy. So I said, look, there is zero chance, a less than zero chance of that happening. It's utter foolishness. And look, he doesn't want to hear that. Most of these people who are supporting the truckers' strike don't want to face reality that this is not going to happen. Obama is not going to resign. He's not going to look out the window and say, uh-oh, there's a bunch of trucks outside. I guess we better go. It's not going to happen. These truckers don't have that kind of power. And I'm really upset that conservatism is being represented this way. And it does make me think that it's possible, and I'm not trying to invent a conspiracy theory, but it's possible that liberal Democrats could be behind this because it makes conservatives look like idiots. And it really does make me angry. So now I'm going to read from an article that you're just not going to believe. And it's not from an Alex Jones website. It's not from Before It Spews. This is in U.S. News and World Report. Truckers for the Constitution plan to slow the Washington, D.C. Beltway and arrest congressmen. And I would laugh, except that, if this was stupidity on the left, I could be laughing about it and mocking them. But these are people on the right, and they're making us look like idiots. According to an organizer of Truckers for the Constitution, police must detain accessories to treason or the truckers will. Oh, man. Tractor-trailer drivers will intentionally clog the inner loop of the Washington, D.C. Beltway beginning on the morning of October 11th, according to a coordinator of the upcoming Truckers Ride for the Constitution rally. Organizers of the three-day event want to call attention to a litany of trucker frustrations and express their disapproval of national political leaders. Okay, I'm with them. In terms of a vague idea of being upset with congressional representatives, I agree. Earl Conlon, a Georgia truck driver who is handling logistics for the protest, told U.S. News tractor-trailer drivers will circle the Beltway 3 lanes deep as he rides with other participants to Congress to seek the arrest of congressmen for allegedly disregarding the Constitution. Absolutely unbelievable. The truckers circling I-495 will keep the left lane open for emergency vehicles, Conlon said, but, quote, everybody that doesn't have a supporter sticker on their window, good luck. Nobody in, nobody out. The trucks will be going about 55 miles per hour, the posted speed limit. Washington, D.C. commuters who wish to be allowed past the convoy must have 2DSDA, an acronym for the event's original name, Truckers to Shut Down America, written on their vehicle. So you've got to take some kind of piece of paper or make a sticker or write it in white shoe polish on your window, T2SDA, and then maybe the truckers will let you come through. Who are these people? Conlon said, it's going to be real fun for anyone who is not a supporter. And if the cops decide to give us a hard time, we're going to lock the brakes up. We're going to stop right there. We're going to be a 3-lane roadblock. Zeta Andrews, I can't believe this guy Conlon. He's out of his mind. And I'm really glad that this was in U.S. News and World Report, because if this was in an Alex Jones website like InfoWars, I would never have believed it. Zeta Andrews, a former country music singer helping to promote the event, and I've never heard of her, said last week that participants would present demands to congressmen, including for the impeachment of President Barack Obama, and give the congressman an opportunity to agree to the demands in exchange for canceling the ride. But Conlon said that's not quite right. We're not going to ask for impeachment, Conlon said. We're coming whether they like it or not. We're not going to ask for impeachment. We're asking for the arrest of everyone in government who has violated their oath of office. Wow, the guy is really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Now, Conlon cited the idea, and you got to pay attention here. You got to hear this. Conlon cited the idea of a citizens' grand jury, meaning a pool of jurors convened without a court approval as the mechanism for indicting officials. Quote, "We want these people arrested, and we're coming in with a grand jury to do it. We are going to ask law enforcement to uphold their constitutional oath and make these arrests. If they refuse to do it, by the power of the people of the United States and the people's grand jury, if they don't want to do it, we will. We, the people, will find a way." This is simply crazy talk. These are the words of an idiot. And this is the guy who is in charge of this truckers' protest in Washington, D.C. Why are conservatives supporting this? I'm a conservative. I want no part of this lunacy. This is really bad. And you've got a real news article in a real news magazine that makes conservatives look like idiots. Not because U.S. News is spinning anything. They're simply quoting the moron. The author here at U.S. News, Stephen Nelson, writes, "It's almost certain that anyone attempting to arrest a member of Congress would be arrested themselves for attempted kidnapping." Of course. And this is the kind of stuff that conservatives who are behind this kind of crap and support this kind of crap don't want to hear. And the reason they don't want to hear it is because they are sick and tired of Barack Hussein Obama. And so am I. But this kind of stuff does not help us. Conlon and Andrews say that Obama committed treason by allegedly funneling weapons to al-Qaeda-linked rebels in Syria. Members of Congress who support arming Syrian rebels, Conlon said, are accessories to the alleged crime. He identified House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, and Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat of California, as politicians he will seek to arrest for alleged acts against the Constitution. Holy crap. Oh, man. This is really a mess. And this is why I've been against this, because the people behind it never made any sense. And the more information that comes out about the people who are running this thing, the worse it gets. These people are out of their minds. Now, by comparison, the bikers were top flight all the way through. Classy people, classy ride, classy protest. They rode into Washington, D.C. They rode out of Washington, D.C. A class act from start to finish. About the only mistake they made was seeking a permit way too late in the game. They might have gotten a permit if they had organized 6 months, 8 months in advance. But this stuff I'm reading about the truckers' strike, these people are a bunch of knotheads. There is more here from Conlon. He says he's now lost count of the number of truckers. He said he's receiving around 100 emails a day from prospective participants. Quote, "What we want to do is go in nice and peaceful and keep it as peaceful as possible. But if they decide to get ugly with us, we're going to do what we have to do." Which means, I don't know what that means. What does it mean? Does it mean you're going to pull guns or something? If all I get is 1 or 2 congressmen walked out of there with handcuffs. Oh, man. That will be a shot across the bow that will ripple across all branches of government. I hope they are all civil enough and brave enough to step out onto the congressional steps. Jeez, who does this guy think he is? Trucker-specific grievances behind the protest include Environmental Protection Agency fuel efficiency standards and the high cost of diesel fuel. Now, these are things that need to be addressed. State and local anti-idling laws, as well as insurance companies purportedly requiring technological updates, are among the irritations, as is the perceived deterioration of Fourth Amendment rights protecting truckers' cabs. Now, you see there, they actually do have some genuine grievances that should be brought to the attention of the American people. But when you've got some guy flying off the handle and saying that he's going to arrest congressmen with or without law enforcement, without any kind of court issuing any kind of warrant, this is crazy talk. And he's really damaging everything that most truck drivers are probably interested in protesting. So, there is a follow-up story at U.S. News and World Report. Truckers change their mind, and they won't arrest congressmen. Well, there you go. That's the smartest proclamation they ever made. A traffic snarl is still planned, but news coverage causes a schism in the protest's leadership. News coverage of a trucker protest seeking to clog the roads in and around Washington, D.C. this weekend prompted a schism between the ride's leaders. The ride's loosely organized leadership is now in agreement, however. Truckers will not seek to arrest congressmen. Well, somebody probably told Conlon to shut the hell up. It's got to be. Because that guy, he is no help. He's no help to conservatism, and he's not even any help to this truckers' strike. I bet you they're really sorry they got involved with this guy at all, because he's unhinged. Longtime Georgia trucker Earl Conlon was, until Monday morning, he's not leading anymore. He's been demoted. He was, until Monday morning, the coordinator of truckers traveling to Washington, D.C. on October 11th. He claims credit for calling the protest, a vision articulated in part by former country music singer Zeta Andrews. And again, I've never heard of her. I have no idea what level of country music singer she was. She may have been strumming a guitar on the sidewalk in Nashville with an empty hat in front of her. Who knows? Conlon originally told U.S. News that he would seek to arrest congressmen Friday for allegedly committing treason as other truckers circle the inner loop of the I-495 Beltway 3 lanes deep. He's changed his mind. Oh, man, that's so funny. Conlon still believes a citizen's grand jury, meaning a body of jurors convened without court authorization, has the power to issue indictments, but he told U.S. News in an update that, quote, the truckers are not doing any arresting. Former Department of Justice attorney Larry Klayman has popularized the concept of citizen grand juries, but it's unlikely law enforcement would acknowledge such indictments. Now, Larry Klayman is the former founder, well, he is the founder of Judicial Watch, but he has nothing to do with Judicial Watch at all anymore. And that guy has been calling for a citizen's coup to take over the United States and arrest and remove Barack Obama. Completely outside of anything the Constitution calls for, or authorizes is a better term. So you've got a bunch of whack jobs here involved in all of this crap. If police interfere with the I-495 convoy, Conlon said on Monday, truckers would turn off their vehicles and make the road a parking lot. Conlon's comments infuriated Peter Santilli, an online radio host who is not a trucker. Santilli is hosting a parallel rally in California and will not be joining the D.C. protest, but he's acting as a spokesman for an umbrella nationwide protest called Truckers Ride for the Constitution. Santilli told U.S. News in an email, quote, "We are asking congressmen to voluntarily resign if they refuse to accept our peaceful demands to follow the U.S. Constitution and the law." Well, that's just as dumb. That's not going to produce anything. If Congress refuses to follow the law, we the people will bring the free market economy to a halt. If that results in a major traffic jam, as we saw in Egypt, so be it. I'm sorry. This is crazy talk. Who does that hurt? It doesn't hurt people in Congress. It hurts the American people. It hurts small business. I'm going to go through the list again. Small business, companies, corporations, employees, individuals, self-employed people. You can't hurt Congress this way, but you sure can hurt the American people in the name of conservatism. Why would you do that? When Obama is really starting to tick off Americans, why would you hurt Americans in the name of conservatism and make Americans angry with truckers who are supposedly protesting in the name of the Constitution? Conlon snapped back at Santilli, who surprised him with an on-air radio call the trucker believed was a private conversation. Conlon said citizens do indeed have the authority to arrest public officials, and that truckers can legally turn off their trucks on the road if they're complying with regulations requiring a 34-hour restart after truckers run out of the hours they're allowed to work. Conlon told Santilli, quote, "You're having your rally, I'm having mine. You might as well find a new place to meet. I'm not going there to smile and blow my horn." Well, I don't know. I think these people are insane. I think it's a damn shame that they are doing this in the name of conservatism. I'm a conservative, and I don't want any part of their crap. This idea that citizens can gather and draw up some kind of indictment of congresspeople, of representatives in the U.S. Congress, is ridiculous. But this guy, Larry Klayman, and I think I've got some articles on him. You can read up about him. He's promoting the idea that there should be not a military coup, but a citizen coup, and we should arrest. And I'm against this. I want to be completely clear about this. He says, not me, Larry Klayman says we should have a citizen's coup, take over the country, arrest Barack Obama, throw him in jail. It's not going to happen. First off, you try to get past the Secret Service at the White House, there are going to be a lot of dead Larry Klayman followers. But it pisses me off that all of this is being said and done in the name of conservatism, and it's making us look like idiots. It's making conservatives look like fools. And I realize that Americans, patriotic Americans, conservative Republican Americans, are very upset with Barack Obama. They're very concerned, and some people are becoming desperate. But Larry Klayman does not have the answer. You've got to read your Constitution. That document outlines the only way to remove a sitting president. And if you're doing something outside of the Constitution, if Larry Klayman were able to take over the United States by arresting Barack Obama, Larry Klayman would be in charge. And who knows what kind of constitution Larry Klayman wants. I don't want people like Larry Klayman and Earl Conlon in charge of this country even for a week. And that's what happens when the coup takes over. So screw that. Wake up, read your Constitution, And let's get back on track. I mean, these people, these crazy people on our side, have the ear of U.S. News and World Report. It's not a small story. And there are many conservatives who are starting to think that this is a good idea. And it's not. It's really not a good idea. Now then, I've gone through all of that twice because I lost a bunch of work before and the power went down. So let me save my work right now. And there's one more article here. I'm sorry. At the Washington Post, truckers are saying that the threat of a Washington, D.C. Beltway shutdown is a hoax. And this is an important article. It can be hard to get attention for your agenda in a town like Washington, D.C., but Georgia trucker Earl Conlon figured out a way. Take the Beltway hostage. Conlon's comments in a U.S. News and World Report story that he and thousands of truckers from across the country and possibly Canada plan to come to the nation's capital Friday and bring traffic to a standstill on the inner loop of the Capitol Beltway zinged across the web and were picked up by outlets ranging from Fox News to the Huffington Post. The rally was dubbed Truckers for the Constitution. But it is a hoax. The comments to U.S. News were designed to do one, and by the way, this is a quote from Earl Conlon. Conlon himself is admitting that it was all a hoax. And before I read this, I'm going to give you my theory. I think that he's calling it a hoax now because everyone has informed him how stupid he is and how wrong he was and what an idiot he sounds like. And he's trying to save face. Well, I made all that stuff up, man. I wasn't really serious. Come on. Ain't nobody going to arrest a member of Congress. Oh, my God. How lame is all of this? Because I'm telling you, people all over Facebook are supporting this guy. Again, these are the words of Earl Conlon, trucker and father of three. Those comments to U.S. News were designed to do one thing and one thing only: stir the feather of the mainstream media. Nothing gets the attention of the mainstream media like some sort of disastrous event. I knew it was going to ruffle some feathers. I think this guy was threatened by law enforcement that he better back down, otherwise he could be arrested for terrorism. Who knows? They could arrest him. The Obama administration could arrest him for anything. The article continues, so while thousands of truckers may indeed come to Washington on Friday, and many of them may travel along the inner loop of the Beltway, honking their horns, they won't intentionally shut down traffic, he said. Conlon, 50 years old, a veteran truck driver who has suffered through more than his share of traffic jams, said, well, first of all, we know it would not be right to go to D.C. to lock down the city by the Belt Loop. That wouldn't be fair to people out there. And Conlon is not sure that he will even make it to Washington, D.C. on Friday. Now, look, I'm going to tell you what happened here. Because this guy was doing all this kind of crazy talk and would not back down, and people in the trucking community told him, you stay the hell away from Washington, D.C. I guarantee you this is what happened, because this guy has completely folded. There was no benefit, there was no nothing positive that all of his crazy talk would have created. It's not like he made some kind of great point in all of his ranting and that the truckers all across the country benefit from it. He's a lunatic, and someone got a hold of him and said, look, you figure out a way not to be there. If you want to say this was a hoax or you made it up or you were joking, whatever you want to say, but you stay the hell out of Washington, D.C. this weekend. Still, he thinks that he has already scored a small victory, attention for his cause, mainly what he sees as the overreach of government and the inability for politicians to follow the rules as outlined in the Constitution. So what he's saying here is that all I had to do was act like I was out of my freaking mind, and I made a point, and people don't listen to me. Oh, brother. Earl, get a grip. You sounded like a lunatic. You were an embarrassment to conservatism. It's not like people in the media or independents or moderates or liberal Democrats say to themselves, well, you know that guy who was acting like a lunatic and he sounded like he was completely out of his mind? He made some good points. We got to listen to him more. No, he got his name in the papers. That's what he wanted. And you conservatives who think that this kind of stuff is a good idea, you really need to get a grip. Honest to God, you need to rethink what you're doing. Because, look, Larry Klayman is not messing around. Larry Klayman is not a hoax. He genuinely believes that there should be a citizen's coup. And there are people who believe that Larry Klayman is right. And they are people who are conservatives who have kind of lost their mind. They're a little bit unhinged because Barack Obama is doing some things that are quite unnerving. So you've got to get a grip. And you've got to realize that we have a Constitution. And even though Barack Obama and the Democrat Party are not following it too closely, we still are. And that Constitution is still in effect. And in 2014, we need to elect smart, constitutional House representatives and smart, constitutional members of the U.S. Senate. And in the election in 2016, we need to bring in a genuine Christian conservative president. Somebody with steel balls who is able to stand up and do the job right and take all of the criticism from liberal Democrats and all the criticism from the media and laugh it off and do what needs to be done and tell people like John McCain to go pound sand. But any of this unconstitutional crapola about a citizen's coup or arresting congressmen, the more I think about it, I do believe that Earl Conlon was very serious. And he realized that he was going to get in trouble if he showed up in Washington, D.C., and there was a big shutdown, a complete shutdown of the Beltway. He was going to be arrested for it. He was going to be arrested for shutting down the city of Washington, D.C. And he got scared and he backed off. Oh, no, I was just kidding. It was a joke. You guys fell for it. Ha ha. No, he was serious. I believe he was serious.
The Jimmy Z Show.